I went to breakfast today because today is my dad's 81st birthday. I have not seen my dad since November 15th. And I'm going to get emotional. It has been really hard to not see my dad. I love my dad. Anyway, my dad is amazing and he has dementia. You wouldn't totally know it because he's still very much there. But unfortunately, there are people in his life that are very, very toxic and have been toxic my entire life. So therefore, I choose to not go see him because of the toxicity. And that's been a really hard decision for me to make because he's my dad, right? I love him and it's not his fault exactly, but it's the choices that he's made in his life. And so I've stayed away, and unfortunately, I know it's for the best, but it's still today when I saw him, I got super emotional and almost started crying. I was like, Dad! And he looked so great and so happy. And, you know, one of the, I would say, beauties of dementia, not that I wish that on anybody, is that there's a sense of happiness because you don't really have that filter to discern anymore about the stupid shit in life that we have to deal with, right? So I remember my mom also had dementia. So much happier in the end. She was like carefree and she didn't know or she didn't remember. And, you know, dementia is not a fun thing. And I don't want anybody to have to go through it. And I know that it's even harder when you're the family member watching. But at the same time, you know, I'm always trying to find the positives, and there's a happiness that now that I've watched my mom go through it, and now my dad, that is, I don't know, it's not all bad, because you just don't have the burdens, because you don't know anymore, you don't remember the people that hurt you don't remember all the crap, I mean, at a certain point. So anyway, and I'll be honest, one of the first things that I was worried about is my dad gonna remember me? I was terrified, because I always feared that with my mom. I'm like, I can't imagine if she didn't know who I was, like how that would affect me. But it's not about me because I'm not the one with dementia. And at the end of the day, it's part of life and our parents get older and whatever. So he remembered me. He knew exactly who I was. And I was so excited to see him and I hugged him so tight. And it was awesome. All that being said is, he kept saying, like he was, I can't remember the word he used now, but he basically kept beating himself up. He kept saying, you know, since I don't have all my faculties and since my mind is gone and, you know, I don't remember this and I don't remember, like he is very aware that he is not as sharp as he used to be. And it really disturbed me. So my dad has this thing where he thinks that he's not capable. It's almost like he has given in to the fact that he has dementia, which is actually great. My mom never ever admitted it. She was also much more advanced in dementia when she had it, but he just thinks he's dumb. And I kind of totally believe in that whole thing of your mind, what you think in your mind becomes true. The mind is very powerful. So he's given into the fact that he has dementia, which means that he's just, in his mind, kind of like an invalid. And it just really hit me wrong because I think it's so important. You know, like I said, my mom had it, now my dad has it. The potential of me getting it is pretty likely. But I'm trying to want anybody that has a family member that has dementia or has had, I don't know, I just want you to be aware of what you're saying to them. You don't have to point out that they're incorrect. You don't have to point out that they're repeating themselves for the 50th time. You don't have to make them feel less than just because they're not as clear as they used to be. It's not fair. They can't help it. And I know with my mom, it was really hard because I had to put her in a nursing home, and that was terrible. And in all honesty, I would have rather she had died first instead of having to put her in a nursing home. That was a terrible, terrible situation. Like the whole thing just it was terrible because I knew she was there enough to know that she was in a nursing home and she didn't want to be in a nursing home, but I couldn't take care of her. I didn't financially have the means to do it. And it was just a tough situation. But I think one of the best things that someone said to me is when I put her in the nursing home, one of the caretakers was like, my mom has Alzheimer's and she lives with me. She says, you need to grieve the fact that they are gone as you knew them, but you need to embrace the new person they've become. And that was like the best thing anyone's ever said to me because it helped. Now, do you still miss them? Yeah, of course. And of course, when they actually die, it's terrible and it's sad. But there's also, you need to look for the beauty. Like I just said, you know, there's a beauty in the fact that he doesn't remember all the burdens in his life that have held him back, or his, like, he doesn't have all that crap. I mean, he probably still does, but not as much because there's a clarity. There's almost like, even though it's dementia, there's a mental clarity because you don't have that filter of knowing all the crap. He also does have a little bit of a temper now. I mean, he's always had a temper, but especially now. And I think part of that is he's releasing some of the anger throughout his life that he didn't even realize he had. Be aware when somebody has dementia. You don't have to beat them down. You don't have to make them feel bad because they're sick. And I'm not saying that you would, but there are people that do. And in my dad's situation, he has been led to believe that he is like an invalid now. And it absolutely rips my heart out because he's not. He's still very much there. And he just said some things today that really, really upset me because he is there. I'm just putting it out there. I went through it with my mom. Now I'm going through it with my dad. It's a little different. My mom didn't have anybody else but us kids. So my dad, on the other hand, has a spouse. So we're just going to leave it at that. Anyway, I love you all. I hope you're having a fabulous day. Thank you for letting me come out here and just be vulnerable, because that's, I think, part of sharing your story in life is just really the vulnerable moments.